A very good morning and a very warm welcome to the class. This is me, Nicky Sinha, your history educator. Now, we will be starting today with our lectures for BPSC TGT examinations. All right. Now, आप सब जानते हैं कि बिहार स्टेट एग्जाम्स होती हैं ये जो कि पर्टिकुलरली टीचिंग पोस्ट्स के लिए होती है. आई एम श्योर यू नो ऑल ऑफ दैट. मुझे वो आपको बताने की जरूरत नहीं है. ठीक है. सो नाउ आप जानते हैं कि आपका पेपर जो है वो कितने हिस्सों में डिवाइडेड है एंड देयर इज अ सब्जेक्ट स्पेसिफिक दैट यू हैव टू चूज. अब इस सब्जेक्ट स्पेसिफिक में अगर आप क्वेश्चंस देखेंगे, इफ यू टेक अ लुक एट द प्रीवियस ईयर्स क्वेश्चन, तो उन्होंने वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री, मॉडर्न, एंशिएंट, मीडिवल सबसे ही पूछ रखा है. दे हैव आस्क्ड क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम ईच एंड एवरी एस्पेक्ट, इजंट इट? तो हम भी बेसिकली उन्हीं एस्पेक्ट्स के ऊपर फोकस करेंगे. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी विल स्टार्ट विथ वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री. ऑलराइट. और वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री में जो आज हम पहला टॉपिक करने वाले हैं वो है फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन. सो हम क्या किससे स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं? हम स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री से. और जो हमारा पहला टॉपिक है वो है फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन. ठीक है. सो वी विल बी स्टार्टिंग विद दिस. मैं आपको सारी डिटेल्स जो है जो आपके एग्जाम पर्सपेक्टिव से बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, आई विल बी गिविंग यू ऑल ऑफ दोज डिटेल्स. नाउ हियर पर्टिकुलरली इन फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट कि आप समझें कि व्हाट इज द क्रोनोलॉजी ऑफ द इवेंट्स. ठीक है. इट इज नॉट वेरी डिफिकल्ट, इतना डिफिकल्ट नहीं है. रशियन रेवोल्यूशन थोड़ा सा डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है, बट फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन इज क्वाइट सिंपल. सो दैट इज हाउ वी विल मूव अबाउट. ठीक है. तो चलिए लेट्स स्टार्ट. ओके. सो हम फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन को डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट्स में जो है वो डिवाइड कर लेते हैं. सो इफ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन, वी बेसिकली डिवाइड इट इनटू डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट्स. तो क्या क्या एस्पेक्ट हम कवर करेंगे, चलिए हम वो भी देख लेते हैं कि व्हाट ऑल एस्पेक्ट्स आर वी कवरिंग. ओके. ऑलराइट. The first aspect that we cover here is the causes. Okay? कि French Revolution की causes क्या हैं? Why it happened? That is very important for us to know, isn't it? And after that, we will be focusing on the course. ठीक है? कि course of the revolt क्या था? Sorry, course of the revolution क्या है? How it happened. So basically, we will be focusing on the events of the revolution. Fine. After focusing on the events of the revolution, we will be focusing on two more aspects, which is women in the revolution. All right. The women of France in revolution. So, and lastly, we will be focusing on Napoleon. किस पे फोकस करेंगे हम? We will be focusing on Napoleon Bonaparte. All right. And in general, we will also be taking a look at the consequences of the French Revolution, which it has on the world impact. है ना? ग्लोबल इम्पैक्ट क्या है फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन का, उसके ऊपर भी हम फोकस करेंगे. ठीक है. तो चलिए सबसे पहले लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द कॉजेस ऑफ द फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन. नाउ द फर्स्ट कॉज ऑफ द फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन दैट वी विल बी डिस्कसिंग इज कॉल्ड फ्यूडलिज्म. जो पहला कॉज हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं वो क्या है? That is feudalism. Now, it is important for us to understand what feudalism is and how it impacts the French society in general, and how it results in a lot of economic, social, political, and other implications which would have contributed to the rise of the third estate, which would to the rise of the peasants against the monarchy. The monarchy which they have till now been considering having an absolute and divine right to rule. तो एक तरफ है कि absolute and divine right to rule है, and then on the other hand they have literally risen up against their own emperor, so much so that they have caused the death of their emperor. They have executed their emperor. तो कुछ तो बात होगी ना, कुछ तो हुआ होगा. एकदम से तो कोई ऐसे एक दिन उठता नहीं कि हाँ चलो हम अपने एम्परर को मार देंगे, ऐसा तो नहीं होता है. It happens because of many reasons, isn't it? So first of all, let us understand what feudalism is. ठीक है? चलिए. This is the first thing that we will take a look at. All right. So what do you think feudalism is? Now, in feudalism, on top we have the king. Okay, fine. The king appoints vassals who are also known as your feudal lords. Okay. Now, these feudal lords have lands under them. इनके पास क्या होती हैं? इनके पास जमीनें होती हैं, इनके पास lands होती हैं, ठीक है? What do they have? They have lands under them. Fine. Now, so after this feudal lord, we have the peasantry. ठीक है? Who do we have? We have the peasantry. Fine. Now, peasantry can also be divided into two sections. So, we have the free peasants, all right? And then we have the serfs, okay? So, who are these free peasants? Free peasants are basically those people, those peasants who have their own land, जिनकी अपनी ज़मीनें हैं, ठीक है? But at the same time, they are working on the Lord's land as well. They are working on the feudal Lord's land as well. Okay, just give me 1 second, guys. So they're doing what? They're working on the feudal Lord's land as well. Okay? After this, we have the serfs. इसके बाद कौन है? इसके बाद serfs है. Now, serfs are basically those people who are tied to the land. ठीक है? They are tied to the land, as in they are tied to the Lord's land. Fine. So they are born there, they work there, and the Lord has complete control over their life. Okay. Lord has complete control over their life. The Lord will decide when they have to get married. The Lord will decide whether they would be free or not. The Lord will decide whether they can have children or not. So the entire life is being controlled by whom? The entire life is being controlled by the Lord. Okay? Now, these peasants, they have to offer a lot as well. ठीक है? Peasants को बहुत सारे काम करने हैं. ठीक है? पहला काम क्या करना है? First of all, they have to pay taxes. All right? They also have to work on the land. ठीक है? Work on the Lord's land. Plus, obviously, they have to work on their own land. All right. And most importantly, they have to provide military service. Okay. Whenever there is a war, all right, whenever there is a war, they have to provide what? They have to provide military service. Okay. These are the responsibilities of the peasants. Fine. Now, so आप यहाँ पे एक चीज नोटिस कीजिएगा गाइस, आपको आई एम श्योर समझ में आ रहा होगा that the major responsibility or the major sufferers of this particular system is none other than the peasantry. Okay, be it the free peasants or be it the serfs. सबसे main sufferers कौन है इसके? सबसे main sufferers जो हैं वो आपके peasants हैं. Why? Because they have to pay taxes, they have to work on the Lord's land and on their own land. At the same time, they also have to provide military service, isn't it? तो आप देख सकते हैं कि सबसे ज्यादा काम अगर किसी को करना पड़ रहा है तो वो और कोई नहीं है, it is the peasants. All right. Now, so this is how you can understand feudalism. Now, there's one more thing you have to remember, that in this system of king, vassals, peasantry, etc., we have one more person, or we have one more group in between. That is your clergy. Okay? Who are these people? These are members of the church. ठीक है, तो ये चर्च के मेंबर्स हैं. So you can have bishops, monks, priest, father, sister, pope, etc. All of these are members of the clergy. Fine. So now I'm sure you understand कि feudalism में what is the problem? The problem is that it is the peasantry who has the entire burden of what? Who has the entire burden of running the society. ठीक है? Burden होना कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है, but the problem is that they do not have rights also. When you're giving them all the burden, you should also give them rights. But those rights have not been given to them, and that is the major issue which will result in the French Revolution. ठीक है? So ये तो हो गई हमारी पहली cause. ठीक है? अब इसके बाद जो हमारा दूसरा cause है, वो है the economic causes. All right? और the economic So we will now learn about what? We will now learn about the economic situation of what? Economic situation of France. All right. अब फ्रांस की इकोनॉमिक सिचुएशन जो है वो एक्चुअली बहुत खराब है. Why is it so bad? Let's take a look at that. Okay. So what is the economic situation of France? First of all, we have to know that who has ascended the throne here. Who is the ruler? The ruler is Louis XVI, all right, and he has ascended the throne in 1774. उन्होंने कब throne ascend किया है? 1774 को उन्होंने throne ascend किया है, and he was from the Bourbon dynasty. Fine. Now, when he ascended the throne, the treasury was literally empty. मतलब जो पूरा खजाना है वो खाली पड़ा हुआ है. ठीक है? क्यों खाली पड़ा हुआ है? What is the reason? There has to be, some kind of reason as to why is it empty. The first reason is long wars. Okay. Now, France and England have been at war since their history has started. There was something called the 100 Years' Wars, which France and England has fought with each other. Okay, if you ever learn about European history, you would always see that the English kings would always call themselves as the King of England and France. All right. This was they did not really have literal control over France. ऐसा नहीं था कि उनका फ्रांस के ऊपर एक्चुअल कंट्रोल है, नहीं. इट्स जस्ट दैट दे वांटेड टू कॉल देमसेल्व्स लाइक दैट. हमेशा अपने आप को उस तरह से बुलाना चाहते थे वो. फाइन. So that was one situation. That was one of the reasons. There was long wars between France and England. Okay. So this has literally, put the treasury as empty. तो फ्रांस और इंग्लैंड के बीच में अच्छी खासी लंबी चौड़ी जो है वो लड़ाई चल रही है. ठीक है, फाइन. नाउ आफ्टर दिस देयर वाज वन मोर कॉज. सी गाइस, व्हेन यू हैव शॉर्टेज ऑफ मनी, इजंट इट, जब आपको पैसे की शॉर्टेज है तो व्हाट डू? You basically cut down on your expenses, right? But instead of cutting down on their expenses, the French kings actually lived a very extravagant life. बहुत extravagant life जीते थे, and maintaining the palace of Versailles. All right, so Versailles is a place in France, and there's a huge palace there. It is still there. If you ever get a chance, you can visit. There's this huge palace there. So maintaining that palace was actually quite a task. All right. So added to this cost was what? Added to this cost was maintaining the palace of, if you have any difficulty understanding my handwriting, you can please let me know. Who's maintaining the palace of Versailles? Okay, Versailles is the pronunciation, fine. Now, one more thing was adding to the economic drain of France. That is, Louis XVI has helped the 13 American colonies to gain independence during the American Revolution, during the American War of Independence. Okay. So, what has Louis XIII done? Sorry, Louis XVI. So, helped colonies. Okay, so they have helped 13 American colonies gain independence. Okay, that is the first thing that they have done. Fine. So when you already your treasury is empty and you're going on adding things, it is going to be a very precarious situation for you, isn't it? You do not have that kind of money. And for fighting these wars, loans have been taken. Okay? And now the interest charge on these loans have become somewhere around 10%, and the entire loan amount has become 2 billion. Imagine. Okay? So in sab cheez ko karne ke liye what has been done? Loans have been taken. Fine. And loans में जो interest charge हो रहा है, that is how much? 10% interest has been charged, and now the total loan amount has become how much? So total loan amount has become 2 billion. Imagine कीजिए, 2 billion livres. Livres is the official currency of France. Fine. So 2 billion livres has become their loan, and so now you can understand the economic situation of France is not good. बहुत precarious situation है, ठीक है? Added to this was what? Added to this was the social situation of France, and added to this would be other kinds of crisis. ठीक है? तो now what is the solution? इस चीज का solution क्या है? When you have so many economic issues, what is the ultimate solution? The ultimate solution is to raise taxes. ठीक है? Now, please ये वाली चीज, ये वाली point जो है ना, वो हम याद रखेंगे. ठीक है? कि what is the ultimate solution? The ultimate solution is to raise taxes. ठीक है? Now, let us take a look at the third very important cause, and that is the social situation of France. Okay? So, what is the social situation of France? Let's take a look at that now. So, I just explained to you all feudalism. Okay? So, social situation is based on the same thing. Same social situation hai, fine. So, we have 3 estates here. We have the first estate. Okay? So, this is the clergy. Clergy, aap jante, they're members of the church. Then we have the second estate. These are your nobility. Nobility में कौन आ जाएगा? Nobility में you will have all of your feudal lords, right? And then you have the third estate, which is the peasants. All right. Okay. So guys, देखिए social situation से कोई problem नहीं है. Okay. The problem is with the system or the kind of work which is associated with this social situation. All right. So let us see why is this social situation such a huge cause for French Revolution. Okay. Now, as you all know, that it is the peasants, the third estate, who have the burden of almost running the society. They're paying their taxes. All right. they're paying feudal dues, okay? They're working on the fields in the house of the Lord, okay? What are their works? क्या-क्या कर रहे हैं ये लोग? So they're paying their feudal dues, they're providing military service, okay? Working on the Lord's field, fine. They're paying different kinds of taxes as well. Okay, what kind of taxes are they paying? Different kinds of taxes they are paying. Okay, the first one is teeth, which was collected by the church, which was around 1/10 of the produce. Okay, so taxes ki baat kare, they're paying what? They're paying something called teeth. Okay, this was collected by the church, and this was what? Around, sorry, collected by church, all right, and it was 1/10 of produce. ठीक है? So ये जो है ये church collect कर रही है. Fine. There was one more tax which they were collecting, and that is known as your tally. This was collected by the king. This directly went on to the state. Now the problem with this taxes is that the first and the second estate, okay, that is the clergy and the nobility, they have been exempted, okay, exempted from paying taxes. This is a privilege that they enjoyed, okay. This is a privilege which they enjoyed in the feudal system, in which the first and the second estate would be paying no taxes, and all the burden of taxes like teeth, tally, etc., all that would fall on whom? All of that would fall on the third estate, which is the peasantry. Okay. Now, another problem was that apart from teeth and tally, they also had to pay no extra taxes on tobacco consumption, etc., salt. इन सब के ऊपर भी इनको taxes जो है वो pay करने पड़ते थे. Fine. So now you can see that there's only, one person, right? One person who's doing all the jobs. They are paying taxes also, working on the Lord's field, their own field. They're serving in the military as well. They're paying all sorts of taxes as well. So how much burden can you put on one section of the society, isn't it? And on top of that, you are also exploiting them, है ना? आप सिर्फ उनके ऊपर burden नहीं डाल रहे हो. At the same time, you're trying to exploit them. You are not even giving them the chances to improve their income. भाई अगर आपने उनसे कहा है कि आपको taxes pay करने हैं, तो at least let them earn. No, you are not even letting them do that. आप उनको वो भी allow नहीं कर रहे हो. You are not letting them earn as well. So how are they supposed to live? कैसे जिएंगे? कैसे pay करेंगे? अपना पालन पोषण कैसे करेंगे? How are they going to look after themselves? That is the big question that we have to answer here. ठीक है? Now we move on to the next cause, which is your subsistence crisis. What do you mean by subsistence crisis? Let's take a look at that now. Sorry. This is the next important cause that we have to discuss. What do you mean by the subsistence crisis? So basically, there was a population increase in France. Okay. अब guys देखिए इसमें मुझे लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है as such, तो मैं इसको normally आपको explain कर देती हूँ. ठीक है? So what do you mean by this? So basically, what happened was that there was a population increase in France. Okay. I'm discussing this one with you. there was a population increase in France from 23 to almost 28 million. Now, when there's a population increase, there also has to be an increase in the harvest, right? You have to revamp, or you have to, hasten, fasten your agricultural system so that you're able to pay, so that you're able to feed all of these people who have been born, isn't it? But what happened is the harvest of the agricultural sector was not able to meet with the demands of the rising population. Okay, that means what? That means that there was more demand than there was supply. ठीक है? अगर demand ज़्यादा हो और supply कम हो तो क्या होता है? You know that prices of things are going to increase. That's exactly what happened in France. Prices of things, even staples like bread, increased a lot. The problem is that most of these people who were from the third estate, they were daily wage earners. Okay. Now the prices of things are increasing, but what is not increasing is their wages. Their wages remain the same, but the prices of things are increasing, which means that there was a huge divide which was created between the rich and the poor. And the poor even became more poor. How? So earlier, 100 rupees, suppose they were able to buy 5 things, but now, because the prices have increased but the wages remain the same, they are able to afford now only 3 things, isn't it? So isn't that something, isn't that showing that the poor are becoming even more poorer? Okay. So this is what created a subsistence crisis in France, in the sense people were not even able to, afford the bare minimum. Bare minimum is staples. They were not even able to afford the staples. Normal staples जो है वो भी वो afford नहीं कर पा रहे थे. ठीक है? Fine? All right. Now, so ये हो गया. अब next जो हमारा main बहुत important cause है, that is your rise rise of middle class. ठीक है? What do you mean by this? What do you mean by the rise of middle class? Let's understand. Now, if you look at French Revolution, the time period of it, you will realize that French Revolution is also at the same time period where you have what? Where you have all of these European countries setting up what? Setting up their trading post in the eastern countries. ठीक है? Eastern और American countries में ये क्या कर रहे हैं? They're setting up their trading networks there, right? So we have in India, we have the French India Company, the English East India Company, the Danish, Dutch. Similarly, North America, South America, maybe the French have established their colonies. All right. So now that is what we are going to understand here, that because of the colonies that they have established, they are engaging in long distance trade. There was a rise of a class of rich merchants who were engaged in overseas trade. ठीक है? तो पहला क्या है हमारा? First of all, we have what? We have rise of rich merchants. ठीक है? Who are engaged in what? They're engaged in overseas trade. All right. Now, since they engage in overseas trade, they're also traveling to these overseas countries. So, don't you think there's going to be an exchange of ideas as well, right? There's going to be an exchange of ideas. That's exactly what happened here. So, when they would travel to different countries, there was exchange of ideas with different countries as well. Now, apart from the merchants, this particular section also had the doctors and lawyers and teachers, etc. ठीक है? तो इनमें और कौन आएंगे? इनमें आएंगे आपके डॉक्टर्स, लॉयर्स, teachers. So basically you have the educated class here. है ना? कौन है यहाँ पे? You have the educated class over here. Now, when you have the educated classes over here, they started raising a very important question. And the question was that your privileges should be on the basis of your merit rather than on the basis of your birth. ठीक है? So यहाँ पे इन्होंने क्या कहा कि हमारे जो privileges हैं, privileges should be on the basis of what? Sorry. Okay. So whatever privileges have been given to us, whatever exemptions have been given to us, that should be on the basis of your merit. ठीक है? क्या कर रही हूँ मैं? Privileges किस चीज पे होनी चाहिए? It should be on merit rather than birth. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I think मैंने उल्टा बोल दिया था यहाँ पे. I'm sorry if I said उल्टा. ठीक है? मैंने अगर उल्टा बोल दिया तो मुझे I'm really sorry for that. But what I'm trying to say is this is what they said. They said that whatever privileges that we are getting, जो भी privileges है, be it exemption from taxes, you know, having lands, etc. This should not be on the basis of your birth, but it should be on the basis of your merit. Whether you have that kind of merit or not, whether you have that kind of education or not, right? Now, in this particular thing, the philosophers also played a very important role. ठीक है? तो philosophers जो है उसको भी मैं यहीं पे cover कर रही हूँ. Fine. So the philosophers also played a very important role. So what philosophers do we have here? Okay. So इसमें हम middle classes में role of philosophers जो हैं वो भी discuss कर लेते हैं. So I'm going to give you a name of few books and the philosophers and what was the idea. Please remember these because these are factual information which you can get in your exams. Okay. So what is the first philosopher? The first philosopher that we have here is John Locke, all right? And he has given what? He has written the two treatises of government, okay? So first of all, who do we have? We have John Locke, two treatises of government, all right? So this is the book which he has written. And what is this book talking about? This book is basically refuting the doctrine of divine and absolute right of the king. Okay? Refuting divine and okay. This is one philosopher. After this, we have Rousseau, who basically wrote this book called Social Contract. All right. Okay. So when he was writing about social contract, what is he saying? He says that the government should be on the basis of social contract. Okay. Government किस basis पे होना चाहिए? Government on the basis of social contract. All right. And lastly, we have one more philosopher, and that is Montesquieu, and he has written The Spirit of the Laws. Okay. So, lastly, we have he has written Spirit of the Laws. All right. And what is he saying? He basically talks about the separation of judiciary, legislative, and executive. Okay. So he talks about what? Separation of judiciary, executive, लेजिस्लेचर। ठीक है, तो ये हो गया हमारा एक और कॉज। अब एक लास्ट कॉज जो है वो हम डिस्कस करेंगे। द लास्ट कॉज दैट वी हैव इज न्यू सिस्टम ऑफ टैक्सेशन। ऑलराइट, सो व्हाट इज दिस न्यू सिस्टम ऑफ टैक्सेशन, वी विल गेट टू नो अबाउट इट। तो नेक्स्ट क्या डिस्कस करना है हमें? वी हैव टू डिस्कस द न्यू टैक्सेशन system, right? So what was this new taxation system? Let's take a look at that. It's very simple, ज़्यादा इसमें कुछ भी नहीं है। Okay. So what is this new taxation system saying? So this 1786, Charles Alexander de Clone. Okay, let me just write this down for you. So what is the date here? Okay, sorry, the date is 1786, and who is the person? So we have someone called Charles Alexander de Clone. Okay, so Charles Alexander de Clone. Okay, so he was actually the controller of the king, that is Louis XVI, and he came up with this new system of taxation. And he said that instead of collecting taxes from just one estate, why not collect taxes from the first two estates as well? So he was basically trying that the first two estates should also be giving taxes. He wanted to end this privilege that they had, that they were exempted from taxes, and he wanted to end that. Okay, so he basically proposed new reforms. All right, so he wanted to introduce a uniform taxation system, okay, जिसमें कि तीनों ही लोग यानी कि फर्स्ट स्टेट, सेकेंड स्टेट, थर्ड स्टेट, they will all be paying their taxes. This is what he wanted. This is what he wanted to create. All right. Now it is this was the last of the causes, and it is because of this that the king is going to call in the meeting of the Estates General, and that will be our events of the revolution. Fine. So why do you think the king is going to call the meeting of the Estates General? See, obviously, the king did not want anything like that to happen. Raja nahi chahta tha that this system of uniform taxation should be introduced, all right? And he basically wanted the support of the first and the third, sorry, the first and the second estate to see whether they wanted this kind of taxation system to be introduced or not. First of all, that. And secondly, if not, they could at least vote for new taxes to be implemented, which then again would be paid by whom? Which then again would be paid by the third estate. ठीक है? तो इसके बाद जो हम देखेंगे वो है course of the revolt. Fine. So I'll just give you some time. आप चाहे तो आप इसको लिख सकते हैं. Just take it down for yourself. Okay. ये causes हैं, हमने causes discuss कर लिए हैं. Now I'm giving you 5 to 10 minutes. आप इसको फटाफट से take down कर लीजिए. You will have all of your notes with you then. ठीक है? तो ये क्या है guys? ये हमारे हमने cover किया है क्या? We have covered all the causes over here. ठीक है? And I've given you some factual information. So please वो factual information जो है वो आप याद रखेंगे, because इसके बाद और बहुत सारे factual information जो है वो आने वाले हैं. ठीक है? So these are the causes of the French Revolution. Take your time and quickly finish it, quickly take it down. All right. Take this down. Last है ये, इसको break down कर लीजिए. These philosophers are quite important, so please do take them down. Okay. All right, guys. So now we move on to the next portion, and that is the events. Okay. So now we will take a look at the events. That is the course of the revolution. You can say कि कब कौन सी event जो है वो हुई थी. ठीक है. So first of all, the first thing we will take a look at is the meeting of the Estates General. Now, So whenever they have to raise taxes, suppose the king in France has to raise taxes, he has to call in the meeting of the Estates General. Okay, उसको क्या करना है? उसको Estates General की meeting बुलानी है. Fine. So what is this meeting of the Estates General that we're talking about? So Estates General was an assembly where all the three states, which is the first, second, and the third, they would be sending in their representatives. ठीक है, तो वो अपने अपने representatives जो हैं वो भेजेंगे. ठीक है. So when did this happen? So on May 5th, 1789, the meeting of the Estates General has been called. Okay. So please dates जो हैं वो याद रखेंगे. So what has been called? When is this happening? So May 5th, 1789. All right. Meeting of we have the meeting of Estates General. Okay. So how many members have they sent? So the first and the second state. Okay. So the first and second estate, they have sent in how many members? They have sent in 300 members. Okay. And the third estate has basically sent in what? How many? 600 members. Okay. So now you can see that these people have an absolute majority, isn't it? इनकी क्या है? इनकी absolute majority है. Okay. So, before this, before the French Revolution, what kind of voting system was being followed in the Estates General? Okay. So, the voting system in the Estates General was one estate, one vote. Okay. But in the meeting which was happening on May 5th, there was the demand from the third estate. They demanded that one person, one vote system has to be implemented. Okay. क्या implement करना है? What was the demand of the third estate? Okay. So what was the demand of the third state? One person, one vote. Okay. So all right. So this is what the third estate demanded. But then what happened? Louis XVI did not agree to this demand. उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं, हम ये डिमांड जो है वो नहीं मान सकते हैं. And as a result, the members of the third estate walked out of the meeting of the Estates General and they did not vote for it. ठीक है? तो उन्होंने क्या किया? वो वापस चले गए वहां से. They basically left the meeting. There was no conclusion which happened, right? So this was on May 5th. And after this, we have the tennis court oath. Okay? तो इसके बाद क्या हुआ है? What is the next event that we talk about? So after the meeting of the Estates General, we have the tennis court oath. What is this tennis court oath? Let's take a look at that. Okay. So basically, we have the third estate walking out of the assembly of the States General. All right, वो उस assembly को छोड़ करके वहां से निकल गए थे. ठीक है? Then on June 17th, see, May 5th the meeting has been called. Now what is happening? June 17th, members of the third estate have declared themselves to be National Assembly. ठीक है? So what is happening here? This is when? This is on June 17th. Please remember the dates, they are important. June 17th, the third estate, all right, sorry. They have declared themselves what? They have declared themselves National Assembly. ठीक है? तो वो basically क्या show करना चाह रहे हैं? They're basically trying to show that the third estate is a very obviously a bigger portion of the population and they represent the entire French nation. कि वो क्या कर रहे हैं? वो पूरे फ्रेंच नेशन को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं, ठीक है. दे आर नॉट जस्ट द थर्ड स्टेट बट दे आर द रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ इंटायर फ्रांस. ऑलराइट, that is why they have taken the name of National Assembly. That was on 17th June. Now 20th June they met in the indoor tennis court of the Palace of Versailles, and they have taken what is known as the tennis court oath. Okay, all right. So June 20th, all right, they have met where? So they've met in the tennis court, the indoor tennis court. Fine. So met in the indoor tennis court. All right. And they have taken what? उन्होंने क्या करा है? They have taken what is known as the tennis court oath. Okay. So what is this oath that they have taken? So this oath was that they are not going to, disassemble, or they're not going to disperse unless and until they frame the constitution for France. All right. So what was the oath? Not to disperse until the constitution is framed. Not to disperse until constitution is paid. All right. And who were the leaders in this? So इनके leaders कौन थे? There were two people basically. So we have Mirabeau and Abu Sayes. All right. So not Abu. Abi Sayes. All right. तो हमारे पास कौन है? So the leaders are these people known as Mirabeau and Abi. Let me just take a look at the spelling because मुश्किल हो जाती कभी कभी. Abi Sayes. Okay. So this is what these are the leaders who have been participating in the tennis court oath. और उन्होंने literally ये oath जो है वो लिया है that unless and until they frame the constitution, they are not going to go anywhere. जब तक constitution frame नहीं कर देते हैं, वो वहां से कहीं नहीं जाएंगे. So while the National Assembly was busy making the constitution for France, there were other things which was happening in rest of France. ठीक है? तो अब हम क्या देखेंगे? What was the situation in rest of France? Okay? तो हमारा next क्या है? That is the countryside of France. है ना? तो हम क्या देखेंगे कि countryside of France क्या है? What is happening in the countryside of France? So while the National Assembly was busy making the constitution, there were other developments also which were taking place. So what were these other developments? Let's talk about that. Okay. All right. Let's talk about what other developments are taking place. So during this time, France has gone through a very, very, very severe winter. ठीक है? France को क्या हुआ है? France has gone through a very severe winter. Now, when France has gone through a severe winter, that means what? That means there would be bad harvest, right? That means that again, the demand is more, but the supply is really, really less. ठीक है? When the supply is really, really less, it means there was an increase in the prices of bread. Bread जो है उसका prices बढ़ भी गया था. At the same time, bread supply was in really short. ठीक है? So bread का जो supply है वो भी बहुत कम हो गया है. Plus the prices have also increased. Okay? So what has happened? Supply of bread is less. Fine. And then what has happened? Prices have also increased. है ना? पैसे जो है, दाम जो है वो भी बढ़ चुका है. And you all know that the wages of the people are not increasing. Okay. So what is going to happen, since the prices have increased and there is less supply, obviously not all the members or all the people would be able to get their hands on the bread. Okay, so what happened one day, the women were waiting in long queues for a very long duration, but they were hardly getting any bread. All right, they got so agitated, so angry. Sorry. They got so agitated and so angry that they literally marched into the shops. मतलब वो shops में जो हैं वो घुस गई. They stormed into the shops trying to take over whatever bread was there, because everyone wanted bread but there was not enough available, right? So now when your population or when your subjects are going through such a, hard time, such hardships, what is it that you have to do as a king? You have to make sure that your subjects are well fed. You have to make sure that at least you give them some kind of moral support. But Louis XVI was way ahead of them. He basically, asked the troops to move into Paris, okay? Because the people were getting out of hand. So instead of controlling them, instead of trying to understand what their situation was, what are they doing here? इन्होंने क्या करा? इन्होंने कहा कि हम troops जो हैं वो बुला लेते हैं. Fine. So what did they do? So he ordered his troops or his army to move into Paris. Okay. So ordered troops into Paris. Okay. So there has to be, some kind of reaction that you will get from the common people. They are suffering. They hardly have anything to eat. The children are dying. And on top of that, you are asking the troops to move into Paris. So they are, going to have some kind of reaction, isn't it? So July 14th, okay. Now this is again an important date. So we will write it down with a different color. So July 14th, okay. What has happened on July 14th? So July 14th, the crowds have destroyed Bastille. Okay. What did the crowds do? Now, guys, what is Bastille? Bastille is basically a jail in France, all right? Jail है जहाँ पे mostly उन prisoners को रखा जाता था who have not paid their taxes. But why do you think they've stormed the Bastille? They've stormed the Bastille because the king has ordered troops into Paris and the people were now willing to fight. अब वो किसी भी हद तक जाने को तैयार है और वो fight करने को तैयार है, ठीक है? So what will they do? Because they're so ready to fight, what they will do is basically they stormed into Bastille so that they could get their hands on arms and ammunitions. All right. Now, the July 14th is actually now a national holiday in France. Okay. Please remember this. The day Bastille was stormed. Why was it stormed? Because the king has ordered troops in here and the people were now willing to fight. They needed arms and ammunitions. And as a result, they've stormed into Bastille. Usko destroy kar diya hai. And this is now celebrated as a national holiday in France. All right. Now, in the countryside also, there was a rumor. What was the rumor? In the countryside, there was a rumor that the feudal lords have hired people to destroy the crops which have been there with the peasants. Let's understand this. See guys, the peasants would keep something for themselves for the rainy days. मान लो कभी crop failure हो गया, famine, something. So they would keep some extra crops as in the savings so that they could feed themselves when there was such a situation, right? So because of bad harvests, etc., whatever they had left, they were surviving on that. जो पुराना कभी सेव किया होगा, कुछ भी किया होगा, तो उस पे वो सर्वाइव कर रहे थे. Okay. Now there was a huge rumor which had spread in all of the countryside of France that the feudal lords, they are so angry that the feudal lords have hired people who will be coming in and taking whatever savings or whatever extra subsistence they have, saved for themselves. The peasants have saved. तो बेसिकली रूमर था कि जो भी लॉर्ड्स के लोग हैं, जो भी उनको हायर किया गया है, उनको हायर ही इसलिए किया गया ताकि वो आए और जो भी हमारे बचे कुचे क्रॉप्स हैं, whatever crops are left with us, whatever crops are left with the peasants for their survival, they would come and take that as well. Okay. Now, this really scared the peasants. Why? Because they did not have anything to back up on, right? They do not have any crops which are growing because there's a huge severe winter which has happened. So no crops can be grown because pura frost ho chuka hai. And whatever they have left for their survival, जो भी उनके पास थोड़ी बहुत चीजें बची हो for their survival, that also is being taken away, है ना? वो भी उठा करके लेके जा रहे हैं ये लोग. So that really scared the peasants, and as a result, whatever they could find, जो उनको मिला, छेनी, हथौड़ी, भाला, जो whatever they have found, they took that and they attacked the feudal lords. They attacked the feudal lords. They basically, burnt their houses, burnt the records, etc. They attacked the feudal lords because they were so scared of losing that whatever substance, जो भी subsistence उनके लिए बचा हुआ था, उसको खोने से डर रहे थे. Okay, they were really scared of that, and as a result, they destroyed the manor houses, they destroyed the feudal lords' home. Many feudal lords were so scared that they literally had to leave the country. Fine. So this was the situation in the countryside of France. All right. So अब हम देखेंगे कि राजा का जो रिएक्शन है इस सब चीज के प्रति वो क्या है. Okay, so the next thing that we see is the king's reaction. Okay, guys, I'll give you time to take all of this down. Don't worry. So, chaliye, let's take a look at the king's reaction. Now, Louis XIV realized that these people have gone out of his hands, and now there's nothing that he can do to control them. ठीक है? तो वो ज़्यादा कुछ जो है वो नहीं कर सकते हैं. ठीक है? So he had no other choice but to recognize and to give rights. All right. तो उनके पास और कोई चांस नहीं था, but he had to do something. So now what he has done. So king का reaction क्या है? So because of all that was happening, in the towns and cities in the countryside, sort of everyone is rising, isn't it? हर कोई जो है वो कहीं ना कहीं revolt कर रहा है. Either it is against the feudal lord or the clergy, or you can say the king or the bread prices, etc. Everyone is rising up in revolt. Now, the king knew that this is a situation that he was not capable of handling, and as a result, he had to grant a few concessions. All right. So, what are the concessions that he has given? First of all, he has recognized the National Assembly. All right. So, what is the first thing he has done? He has recognized the National Assembly. Okay. What is the other thing he has done? He has agreed to the fact that the powers of the monarch is going to be limited by the constitution. Okay. What is the other thing he has done? Powers of monarch sorry. Okay. So powers of the monarch would be checked by the constitution. All right. Then August 4th, 1789. Feudalism has been abolished. Okay. So what has happened here now? So August 4, है ना? कब हुआ ये? August 4, 1789, feudalism has been abolished. So feudalism abolished कर दिया गया है. Along with that, fine. Along with that, all the feudal dues, जो भी feudal responsibilities थी, जो भी rules and regulations थे, all that has been abolished. Okay. So now from here only, France is going to become a constitutional monarchy. Okay, that is the next event that we will be discussing. That is, France becomes a constitutional monarchy. Okay, so what do you mean by a constitutional monarchy? Let's take a look at that. So France has become constitutional monarchy. What do you mean by that? So basically what has happened is that the king has accepted, है ना, राजा ने accept कर लिया है. He has recognized the National Assembly, he has given up on feudalism, and he has also agreed to the fact that his powers is going to be checked by the constitution. All right. So the National Assembly has finished making the Constitution of France in 1791. Okay. So when did they finish the Constitution? That was in 1791. So we have made Constitution in 1791. Okay. So they have made what? They have made the Constitution now. Fine. Now, according to the Constitution, the powers, instead of being in the hand of one person, that is the king, the power is now divided into three institutions, which is judiciary, executive, and legislature. Fine. Okay. So what has happened here? Powers divided to judiciary, executive, and legislature. Okay? And it is very important that we talk about the voting rights here. So who are the members? अब ठीक है भाई, यहाँ तो हमने divide कर दिया. Fine. The National Assembly members have also, framed the constitution. But now the present members of the National Assembly, they are, someday going to retire. They're going to someday die. So how do you elect? ठीक है? आप elect कैसे करेंगे the new members of National Assembly? So the members of the National Assembly was done. The election for the National Assembly was done or was elected how? They were elected through an indirect method. ठीक है? तो उनको एक indirect method से elect किया जाता था. How? So basically, the common people, they would be voting for their electors, all right? And the electors would then be choosing the members of the National Assembly. जैसे we elect the members of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, and they elect the president. ठीक है? Similarly, the people of France will vote for a group of electors, okay? And then these electors would be selecting the members of the National Assembly. So now let us understand who has the voting rights, ठीक है? Constitutional monarchy अगर फ्रांस बन गई है, तो voting rights जो हैं, वो किनको दिए गए हैं, ठीक है? So voting rights was basically men above 5 है ना? Men above 25 years of age, ठीक है? तो अगर आप 25 साल से ज्यादा हैं, fine. So this is one voting criteria. At the same time, you should be able to pay taxes which is equal to 3 days of your wages. Okay? Taxes equal to 3 days of wages. ठीक है? तो अगर आप अपने 3 दिन के वेज के बराबर, 3 दिन के इनकम के बराबर, if you're able to pay your taxes, okay, then you would be eligible to vote. ठीक है? तब आप eligible होंगे किस चीज के लिए? Then you are eligible to vote. So now you would vote for whom? You would now vote for the electors. ठीक है? अब प्रॉब्लम यहाँ पे एक और चीज है हमें समझने की, इलेक्टर्स जो हैं वो कौन बनेंगे? हु आर द इलेक्टर्स? How do we choose the electors? So electors were basically those people who were falling in the highest tax bracket. ठीक है? So who are the electors? They are people in the highest tax ब्रैकेट. ठीक है, जो सबसे हाईएस्ट टैक्स ब्रैकेट में होंगे ना, दे विल बी योर इलेक्टर्स. ओके, so amongst the common people, only men were allowed to vote. They have to be 25 years of age and they should be able to pay taxes, which is 3 days of their wage laborers. ठीक है, they would then select or they would then vote for whom? They would then vote for the electors. Now who will become the electors? So elector बनने के लिए भी एक criteria है. That is, you have to fall within the highest tax bracket. ठीक है, आपको highest tax bracket में आना है, then only you could become an elector. And once you've become an elector, you will be selected, you will be voted for the National Assembly, and then on the basis of that, ठीक है, okay, so then you would have your electors, fine, and then these electors would be voted, all right. फिर ये electors जो हैं वो vote करेंगे and they will decide that who is going to be the part or who is going to be the member of the National Assembly. Okay, so it's very simple, guys. You have the common people with 25 years of above male with being able to pay revenue, sorry, with being able to pay taxes of 3 days of your wages. Okay, that is the person who has the right to vote. Okay, they will be voting for electors. Electors kaun hai? They also have a criteria, which is they have to be in the highest of the tax bracket. Fine, they will then elect the members of the National Assembly. Okay, so this is how France becomes a constitutional monarchy. Now, once France has become a constitutional monarchy, they have added something called the Declaration of the Rights of Man. All right. What is the Declaration of the Rights of Man? So, the Constitution of France actually begins with the Declaration of the Rights of Man. Fine. So, it basically gives you various kind of rights, right to life, freedom, speech, equality before law, etc. ठीक है, और ये जितने भी rights थे, whatever rights have been given by France's constitution, they were considered to be your inalienable right. ठीक है, मतलब ये आपके natural right है, fine, and they were considered to be inalienable rights. That means that these are natural rights. You are born with these rights if you're born in France, and no one will be able to take away these rights from you. Fine. So just like our constitution begins with the preamble, their constitution begins with what? Their constitution begins with the Declaration of Rights of Man, which gives them various rights, and these rights are natural and ये birth right है. ठीक है, ये क्या है? ये एक birth right है, and you have to give these rights. Okay, all right. Okay, so now, after this, we have the France becoming a republic. Okay, but before this, please take this down quickly. इसको फटाफट से आप लोग कॉपी कर लीजिए. फिर अगर पास टाइम बचेगा तो हम आगे का जरूर पढ़ेंगे, बट फिलहाल आप इसको टेक डाउन कर लीजिए. ये है स्टेट्स जनरल की मीटिंग. फिर हमारा टेनिस कोर्ट ओथ है. उसके बाद वी हैव अदर डेवलपमेंट्स व्हिच वर टेकिंग प्लेस. देन वी हैव द किंग्स रिएक्शन, and then we have France constitutional monarchy. Okay, dates here are important, so please do take them down. All right, so chaliye quickly take this down and then we can see what we have to do. Okay, this is done. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, फ्रांस कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मोनार्की. ये टेक डाउन कर लीजिए. ये बात तो देखते हैं कि अभी हम आगे बढ़ेंगे या नहीं. सॉरी. Okay, so we have time. So अभी हम थोड़ा सा और आगे पढ़ लेते हैं, ठीक है? So what we have read here is that France has become a constitutional monarchy, right? Now there will come a time when France will become a republic, ठीक है? और वो कैसे होगा? How is France going to become a republic? Let's talk about that now. So from constitutional monarchy, France is now becoming a republic. Now what do you mean by republic? Republic basically means where the head of the state is not hereditary, in the sense the head of the state is not someone who's just born into a family and that is why he's the head of the state. The head of the state is chosen, he is selected, he is elected, okay? That is what the head of the state is. So now let us see how France will become a a republic. Okay. See guys, basically what has happened is that Louis XVI, though he has accepted the constitutional monarchy, isn't it? He is agreed with it, he is okay with it. But do you think he's just going to keep quiet like that and let all his powers go? Absolutely not. So, what he did? He entered into secret treaties with Prussia, all right? And basically, he was asking Prussia to help attack, ठीक है? वो क्या चाहते थे? वो चाहते थे कि प्रजा जो है वो उनको मदद करे अटैक करने में on the National Assembly, on the people of France, on his own people, so that he can have his monarchical powers back, okay? So he entered into negotiations with Prussia, fine? So what is the first thing he has done? Entered into treaties with Prussia. Fine. Now, why do you think the other countries are supporting them? The other countries are also supporting them, and the reason is that other countries are also scared of all the developments which were taking place in France, right? They were scared that what if similar developments start taking place in our country as well? The monarchs are scared because they're going to lose their monarchy, they're going to lose their hereditary rights, they're going to lose everything they have not worked for, not really, obviously they उन्होंने काम नहीं किया इस चीज को लेके, but they're going to lose their power, their prestige, their money, everything. What if the other people or the people in their country like Austria, Russia, Prussia, what if these countries also start demanding constitutional monarchy? ठीक है? So this is why they were supporting Louis XVI, क्योंकि वो नहीं चाहते थे कि सेम सिचुएशन जो है वो उनके देश में भी हो. So National Assembly understood the situation. In 1792, they decided to wage a war against Prussia and Austria. ठीक है? तो उन्होंने क्या कहा? So National Assembly, what did the National Assembly say? This was in 1792. National Assembly understood the importance, understood that whatever they have earned till now, they cannot just let it go like that. They cannot just lose it like that. Okay? So they voted for what? They voted for war with Prussia and Austria. Okay? Okay. And you know what happened? A lot of common people started participating in this war. We've number of volunteers from all over France who started participating in this war. Why do you think they were participating? Because if you remember, when we're talking about the voting rights have only been given to the wealthy people or men per se, and men maybe सिर्फ जो अमीर लोग हैं, they have been given the voting rights, right? So the common people felt that they have to fight for whatever they have achieved till now, because even when France has been declared a constitutional monarchy, it does not have democracy, isn't it? It does not have any kind of democracy. There were still so many sections of the population which were deprived of their basic rights to vote, right? तो इसीलिए लोगों को लगा कि इसमें पार्टिसिपेट करना बहुत जरूरी है. Why? Because then only they will be able to ask, or then only will they be able to achieve voting rights, and France in general sense or in actual sense will become a constitutional monarchy and eventually a republic. ठीक है? So all of the volunteer groups जो भी war के लिए जा रहे थे, they would be singing this patriotic song which is known as the song of Marseillaise. ठीक है? Marseillaise, sorry. So volunteers sing a song. The name of the song is what? The name of the song is Marseillaise. Okay. So this was a patriotic song, all right. And eventually this has become what? Eventually this has also become the national anthem of France, all right. आज के time पे ये क्या है? This is the national anthem of France, okay. And who composed it? The composer was someone who was known as Roger de Lisle, okay. What is the name of the person? Roger de Lisle. Okay. So he was the one who composed this song, Marseillaise, all right. And eventually this becomes what? Eventually this becomes the national anthem for France. Okay. So guys, I think we will stop here point because the time is almost over now. We've done quite a few things. हमने काफी सारी चीजें कर ली हैं. देखा जाए तो हमने we finished with the causes. We have done with all of these events. Meaning of the States General, tennis court oath, countryside, France, King's reaction, constitutional monarchy, ये सब हम लोग जो हैं वो कर चुके हैं. I've already given you notes, you've written it down as well. So we are now going to continue. अब next class में हम continue किससे करेंगे? We will continue with the fact that how France is going to become what? How France is going to become a republic. Okay, that is what we will continue with. So we have seen that how the king, even though he has accepted constitutional monarchy, on the side and in secret, he is entering into treaties with with Prussia and Austria, etc. Why? Because he does not want to lose his power and he basically wants the revolution to die down. Fine. And the National Assembly understood the importance of these war and they declared war on Prussia and Austria, and a number of people started participating. Why? Because they also understood that whatever developments that they have been able to create till now, they can't lose that. वो उसको lose नहीं कर सकते हैं because there was still a long way to go. Even after becoming a constitutional monarchy, France is given voting rights only to a select few people. So as a result, it is very important for this revolution to continue so that everyone will have their own rights. Okay. So I think हम लोग next class में continue करेंगे. Hopefully everyone is okay with whatever I have taught. Hopefully किसी को कोई दिक्कत नहीं हुई होगी समझने में. So this is your French Revolution. This is the beginning of French Revolution. We still have, you know, course to do. We still have Bonaparte. We still have the events. We still have women in the revolution. अभी और बहुत सारी चीजें हैं जो हमें डिस्कस करनी है. This is something we will continue in our next class. All right. So I really hope that everyone is okay with it. Now there's certain things, guys, जो मैं assume करके चल रही हूँ कि आपको पता होंगी, because I'm sure that most of you are in your masters, right? But just in case आपको नहीं समझ में आए कोई चीज, so don't feel shy to, you know, ask me. जरूर पूछिएगा. You know, even if it is a very simple doubt, do ask, do clarify. If there's anything you don't understand, I'll be more than happy to help you with it. All right. I've given you all the facts here along with all the stories and everything. So I really hope that is clear and you have the notes with you now. Okay. So, all right. Thank you so much for joining me here, guys. It was an absolute pleasure to have you all. And your suggestions are always welcome. अगर आपको लगता है कि आपको कुछ extra की ज़रूरत है, there's anything extra that you need, any other help that you need, any notes, any handout, anything that you need, or any suggestion that you might have, रिगार्डिंग द टीचिंग स्टाइल, या आपको कुछ समझने में दिक्कत हो रही है, या आपको लगता है कि मैम ऐसे नहीं, आप ऐसे बताओगे तो ज्यादा अच्छे समझ में आएगा, ऐसे नहीं ऐसे करो, मैप से करो, जैसे भी whatever suggestions you might have for me, for my teaching style, to make you all understand better, I will be more than happy to welcome them. I'll be more than happy to implement on them as well. Okay? So thank you so much for joining me here. This is me, Nicky Sinha, signing off. Till then, please take care. Thank you.